Ted Jones messed with the wrong melon farmers.
Ted Jones, I also call him the eighth wonder of the real estate world.
Ted Jones, who knows, it could be.
Ted Jones?
The Ted Jones World Podcast.
Hello, and welcome to the second one. This is the Ted Jones World Podcast. I'm your host, Ted Jones. I welcome you in via whichever medium you are using to play this podcast, whether it's Spotify, YouTube, or the Apple Podcast app. Share your thoughts with me on the podcast. I'd love to get some feedback. Either tedjonesworld@gmail.com or hit me up on Instagram, Ted Jones World. And whenever you're searching me, it's one word, Ted Jones World. All right, let's get into it. So, a bit of a busy week, but what week isn't? You know what I'm saying? So this, I think, would actually go down as a podcast that would be good to listen to if you're on the treadmill, maybe you're on the bike, or maybe you're on my favorite little workout machine, the elliptical. I'm telling you, you're on that thing for an hour, burning up those calories. So, whatever. Just staying healthy is important. That's what I think I was getting to there by just sharing that information. But it's also good for car rides. A lot of other times it's good for, I'd say. But I'm just giving you thoughts, opinions, and I'd love your feedback. So reach out to me, tedjonesworld@gmail.com, or DM me on Instagram, tedjonesworld. So I just wanted to discuss Taylor Swift. She's been in the news a lot recently within the last couple of months. She just dropped a new album. I know my executive producer, Pat, over there loves a good Taylor Swift new album. What's it called, man? What's it called? The new album? Heartbreaker? Lover? He loves Taylor Swift, this guy. He's off camera blushing. But she was actually in the news recently because she got in some sort of legal battle in a situation with her former manager, Scooter Braun, who's actually the manager of Justin Bieber, and Scooter Braun bought the rights to her music. Now, it's called owning your masters, and that these days a lot of artists don't own. So basically, you sign a record deal, you have a whole bunch of legal situations that are taken care of based on this legal document, and you never really own your music. So this happened in the past with the Beatles, some Michael Jackson situation, but Taylor Swift doesn't fully own her music. It's not like she gets every cent from every play that comes in. There's definitely a lot of slices that come out of that pie before she sees any money. So she is actually going to be re-recording her albums 1 through 5 all over again. So, this is definitely going to be screwing Scooter Braun kind of, but I'm not really 100% sure how it's going to work. Like, are you going to go on some music playing app and then you search a Taylor Swift song and then you have to choose which one you're going to play? Because, essentially both of the songs are going to be, 3 minutes and 45 seconds long, or whatever the length of the song is. How are you going to choose which song you're going to pick? They're both the same song, right? Maybe Taylor has a little bit of in her step since the last time she recorded the album. She'll put herself more into it. But she has definitely had some success in the past with those albums 1 through 5. So it'd be interesting to see what happens with that. But November 2020, she's going to be recording all of her albums 1 through 5 again. So, shout out to my grandma who listened to the first episode. She was a fan. She liked it. Wants me to get to know the audience a little bit better, be myself a little bit more. So that's what I'm trying to do here, and I'll continue to do that. But she told me that she didn't think it was a very good idea that I was suggesting stocks to buy. Now, I disagree with her completely. I think the stocks that I'd be telling you to buy, you don't have to listen to me. I'm just some guy through a microphone or through a camera or whatever. You don't have to listen to me, but I think, the stocks I told you last week are good stocks and they're going to continue to grow. But I also wanted to correct something that I had said last week. I was referring to Impossible Burgers being from Beyond Meat, which is the stock that I told you to buy, Beyond Meat. So that was a huge mess up on my part because they're like rivals. They're like Android and the iPhone, full-time rivals. Apple and Samsung maybe is a better comparison because I think that the iPhone is more user friendly and more world renowned than the Android, but whatever. So I had referred to the Impossible Foods being part of Beyond Meat, and that is not the case. Impossible Meats is. It's called Impossible Foods, and it's a whole separate company than Beyond Meat. But Impossible Foods has the Impossible Whopper, so they are not yet public. But I think when that company goes public, you should probably buy a few shares. But these are just my opinions. But again, Impossible Burger's not yet gone public. It should be going public shortly. The CEO described that, the Impossible Burger versus beef is very environmentally sound, which I had mentioned last week on the first one on the Ted Jones World podcast. Uses 75% less water, 87% less greenhouse gases, and 95% less land. That is to manufacture these burgers. And right now, Impossible Burgers are at Burger King and White Castle, and I'm sure it's going to continue to roll out. Their stock price will probably be, I would say, competing with wherever the Beyond Meat products are at when they decide to go public. So that'll be interesting to check out. So football season is actually underway. We have the NFL starting next week, but we had some college football this past weekend. And that was very exciting. But I wanted to talk about Jay-Z for a second. And Jay-Z joining the NFL. Rock Nation, actually, the company that he owns, is going to be teaming up with the NFL to book the halftime show, get some special guests, and also head social initiatives. So Jay-Z's been getting a lot of slack in the media, and I feel like people calling him a sellout really don't have a good idea of what this guy going into an organization like the NFL would really mean for justice, for a guy like Colin Kaepernick, who has been kneeling during the national anthem and hasn't played in 3 years, yet is more than capable to be on an NFL roster. We're going to have a guy like Jay-Z going in and hopefully really doing a bunch for the National Football League itself and just really raising awareness. And I think we got to give the guy a shot. We can't call him a sellout. The guy has done an extraordinary amount in his life. Seems like he's always taking care to issues that are important. So I think we're going to give him a chance here. It'll be interesting to see what Jay-Z can do with the NFL. I know that he already is putting together a concert with Meek Mill, and I know he brought along Meghan Trainor to get together on some of these some of these social initiatives. College athletes. So I wanted to talk about that specifically because I actually was a college athlete. I played 2 years at a Division I tennis school, UConn, and that was really fun for me. And being at a school like UConn, we had a basketball team that was incredible. My freshman year there, the men won the national championship, and as did the women. And the women won it 3 out of the 4 years that I was there, and the men won it by freshman year and senior year. So it was very exciting to be in the same athletic program as these basketball players and these football players, and people who were definitely bringing a lot of revenue into the school. Now, tennis really is not a sport that brought in revenue. I think that for the most part, we were just kind of around maybe because we kept the GPAs up. I don't want to say that's specifically it. We were definitely a respectable program in the Big East initially, and then American Athletic Conference after that. But we realistically survived, being able to take flights to matches and being able to travel all the time because of the revenue that was brought in by the football and basketball teams. So, being on the tennis team, we definitely had about 4 hours a day, like 6 days a week, that were completely dedicated to tennis. Now, when we were on the road or we were staying over somewhere, that was a completely different story because the whole time was dedicated to tennis. But just being in an environment where you are basically forced to have 2 full-time jobs, like you're a student and you're also an athlete. And then in the meanwhile, this was a time where it was even hard to get like an extra Gatorade or, something else to eat because you were hungry in between the time that you finished a match and the time you went to bed. But the point I'm getting at is just the fact that these basketball players and these football players, I'm not making a case for tennis players to get paid, especially at the college level. I don't know if they're bringing in enough revenue, but if you want to spread it out evenly and have all college teams, make $15 an hour, I think that's something that should totally be discussed. But also at the same time, you really have to pay these football players and basketball players because they're bringing in a significant amount of money to the school. The University of Michigan, the stadium holds 100,000 people. Ohio State, around 100,000 people as well. And just to think that these kids are really only getting a free education and nothing else. I mean, these kids are working like dogs for 4 years, beating up their body. And for what? There's less than 2% of the people that play at a Division I college football school or Division I college basketball school make the pros. So I think the system is definitely lopsided. It's been lopsided for a while. I'm not the first guy who said that college athletes should be paid, but it's a long time coming. So I think we really need to address that. So I also wanted to just talk about the environment a little bit. I know I had said on the first one, the last podcast, that Category 5 Category 5 hurricane would be hitting Florida, and it actually looks like it's going for the Carolinas. It touched down in the Bahamas, and it really is an awful scene. Houses are destroyed, streets are completely flooded, cars flipped. Everything is really a mess down there. So if you have any way of helping or donating something to the cause, that's really something great to do, just because the environment needs help. These Amazon fires that were starting and still going, it's just been a really incredible past 6 weeks, and just in terms of the environment. Greenland lost 250 billion tons of ice, and this is just through this year. This year's not even over. And Alaska hit 90 degrees for the first time in its existence since we've been giving you weather reports 100 years ago. So things are really changing, and it's not an ideal situation when we have the president just kind of ignoring these facts. I want to give you all a listen, just kind of what our president had had to say about this Category 5.
I'm not sure that I've ever even heard of the Category 5. Category 5 is something that I don't know that I've ever even heard the term. They've never seen a category like this come in because it came in really at a
These are on 7 separate occasions. He has said this.
Got hit as a 5, Category 5 storm, which just literally never happened. It actually touched down as a Category 5. People have never seen anything like that. This has been a Category 5, which few people have ever even heard of. A Category 5. Nobody's ever heard of a 5 hitting land. Category 5 hurricane. Category 5. Never heard about Category 5s before. Category 5 is big stuff. I'm not sure that I've ever...
That's our president. He's just lying. And he, see, if there are any Trump supporters listening, but I'm not gonna hate on you right away. But if you have any sort of backup or any sort of excuse for what just happened right there on that clip, this guy's just been telling a lot of fibs, and it's not great. So I think we really need a president or someone in office that's going to help the environment, because we all want to be around in 50 years. And at this rate, with this president doing what he's doing and denying climate change and not knowing what a Category 5 hurricane is, it's just, we're not in a good spot. So I don't want to push my political views or political opinions on anyone, but I really haven't had a candidate that's been running for president, and since I've been able to vote the past 9 years, I haven't had a candidate who I've actually thought will make positive change in the things that I think are appropriate. And Bernie Sanders is putting together a $16 trillion plan to fight climate change that's going to employ 20 million jobs, which is great, create jobs in our country. And also this $16 trillion climate change plan, I mean, this is something that needs to go first. We've been damaging our planet for a number of years, and it's time to stop. So we really have to get this Green Deal underway. And another thing that he had was eliminating student debt. There are far too many people in this country who go bankrupt based on medical bills and student debt, and these are things that are free in other countries and are considered a necessity and possibly even a human right. Expunging all marijuana convictions, that's something I had spoken about in the last podcast, the first one, and how marijuana is becoming legal, and for people to be serving 20, 30 years from a little bit of pot or something that they had in their pocket or found in their house or whatever, it's not right. So we definitely have to get rid of these convictions. And right now, Bernie Sanders is saying the things that I think are important to me. May not be as important to you, but we have to look after our environment. It's the air we breathe, and I think that's really the direction we have to go. That's the first step. So the U.S. Open is still going on. So I was wrong about Djokovic. Djokovic actually was losing 2 sets to love, and he was down a break, meaning he had lost his serve in the third set. Or I'm not sure if he was down a break. Excuse me. I don't want to say that, but he was down 2 sets. Decided to pull out. Said his left shoulder was hurting. But now we have a chance for my guy Federer to win, which would be very exciting. Been wanting Fed to take this title for a while, so it would be very exciting if he takes it. He has a good shot now that Djokovic is out, but it's looking that like Fed and Djokovic, kind of are in the same ballpark in terms of how many people are going to win how many slams. Nadal is right behind Federer and Djokovic in terms of Grand Slams. I think Nadal has 16 slams. Pat, can you check that out for me? I'm pretty sure Nadal does have 16 slams, and Djokovic has got Djokovic has got 16, Nadal's got 15, and Fed's got 20. So we're hoping that Fed will take 21. Nadal has how many? Nadal has 18 slams. More than Djokovic, who has 16. Damn. Sorry, I thought I knew that one by heart. All right, well, I don't mean to get you with the wrong facts over here, because those are important facts. Those aren't opinions. You know what I'm saying? And I just want to shout out to Naomi Osaka, who played Coco Gauff, the 15-year-old phenom, the other night, and just handled the win like a total champion. And was just like an older sister to Coco Gauff. Coco Gauff was crying after the match. She was obviously very emotional. And I couldn't imagine what that would have been like when I was 15 years old, playing in front of a crowd like that, playing against the U.S. Open champion, and then just really having to handle yourself emotionally. Osaka really showed what a true champion she is and how she handled that situation. And I really like Osaka, and I'm changing my mind because I'm allowed to do that. I had said last week I think Serena's going to take it. I think Osaka is going to take the title. Too many good vibes, too much good karma around that. So I think Osaka might take it again. She's going to win the title for a second year in a row. So Osaka has really been on a tear. She won the Open last year and the Australian Open actually after it. So she takes this U.S. Open this year. That'd be pretty amazing to win 3 titles in the last year. So I had a question, something that I've been wondering for a while. I feel like there is definitely a difference, a divide between the stuff I put in my fridge and the stuff that I choose to put in my cabinets. Now, I know like spices, salt, and pepper, sugar, whatever goes in the cabinets. But what about an item like hot sauce before it's opened? What about an item like ketchup while it's opened? I don't know. I mean, I've usually put my ketchup after I open it in the refrigerator, but I feel like if I have warm or hot, or for the most part not cold French fries, it's weird to mix them up, like having cold ketchup and hot French fries. So I mean, in between eating just really strictly kind of milkshakes, because my jaw's still not 100%. I'm sure you can tell based on this interview, my jaw is still kind of broken, but we're healing, so it's great. But between my eating of ice cream, having some egg salad, delicious egg salad, and ketchup and French fries, hot sauce. But it's just interesting to think about whether some people, put their bread in the fridge. Do they put it in a cabinet? Definitely interesting. Well, I want to thank you guys for listening in. And if you have any topics you'd like to talk about, if you have any questions for me, email me at tedjonesworld@gmail.com. You can send me a DM on Instagram at tedjonesworld. And whenever you search me, it's one word, Ted Jones World. Now, before I leave you on this second one, I want to give you a quote from a guy I respect, and he's a man who has specialized in buying stocks for a long time. His name's Warren Buffett. You may have heard of him. And a quote that he had said was, "Honesty is a very expensive gift. Excuse me, I'm going to have to repeat that. I messed that one up. Honesty is a very expensive gift. Don't expect it from cheap people." I'm Ted Jones. Thanks for tuning in.